Hello, everybody, it's me, Ross, and welcome back to another video. Today I'm joined by Ben Koski, the man who edits the QPR programme, the Matchday programme, of course, today to discuss and get some insight on Dominic Ball, who, of course, has joined town on a free transfer, on a 2-year deal. Free transfer from QPR, Ben. He's been at QPR at Loftus Road for 3 years now. Before we get into more insight of how he's played and all that sort of stuff, what was your reaction when you saw him join town in League One?
Well, to be honest with you, Ross, I was pleased for him because we knew he was leaving QPR. I felt he would get a decent move, and I think let's be honest, for most of us, I know Ipswich Town have been in League One for a few years, but I think most of us in our heads still regard that as a Championship club, whether it is or not. So I think Dom was always going to stay in the southeast. That's where he's from. It's where he's spent probably the bulk of his career, although he has obviously played at Rotherham and in Scotland for a bit. But I think it was always likely that sort of club was going to be on the cards for him. And so really just very pleased for him. I mean, I think like a lot of QPR fans, there was a disappointment that he was not given another contract. He's a very popular player, and that's really down to the sort of player he is, which is what you're getting now at Ipswich, is someone with a hell of a lot of commitment, wholehearted sort of player. I'm not going to say he's the most skillful footballer. I don't think he would claim to be, but if you're looking for someone who will just pull on the shirt and give 100%, then Don Ball is your man.
Indeed, and he's coming up again with Kieran McKenna, who was with his coach at Spurs. That's where he started his career, and of course he's had spells. He's already with Rotherham. He signed there, but then didn't really play much. He got loaned out and spells at Aberdeen and all that sort of stuff. Then joined you guys in the summer of 2019 on a free transfer. Excuse me, can't talk. His first season, he played 35 games as QPR finished 13th, course, under Mark Warburton. 41 games in his second season, finishing 9th. And then last season was very much bit part. Looking at his stats, only 23 games. QPR finishing where they did. And of course, Mark Warburton left at the end of the season as well. As a whole, how would you sort of rate Dominic Ball's time at QPR?
Well, I think if you look at it, Ross, he's been an important part of the squad, as you say, up until probably those last 6 months. And I would say the main reason for Dom not being involved in those last 6 months was that for the first time in a long while, the team didn't have many injury problems in midfield. It was probably the only area of the team where there weren't injury problems. Defence up front. We had 5 goalkeepers in the season. Midfield was the one area where, bizarrely, there was pretty much a clean bill of health, and you could almost say there was too many players in that area. And I think probably the key player who was involved that if you like made it hard for Ball to get a game was Sam Field, who came in from West Brom previous season, but he then picked up a bad knee injury last pre-season, so he was out for quite a while. But once Sam Field came back and really was a very integral part of the side, doing the sort of job that Don Ball does, playing in that defensive midfield role, there weren't really going to be a lot of opportunities for him to play. I think, having said that, there were occasions towards the end of the season where you sort of looked at it and thought, well, that would have been a job for Don Ball, and I'm a bit surprised he's not been given a run out. But I think possibly by that time things were going on behind the scenes. Mark Warburton will have known he wasn't staying on, and so perhaps things were just drifting to a conclusion then. But as you say, certainly in the previous 2 years, plenty of football from Dom. And I think if you're looking at highlights of his time at Loftus Road, I think every fan would say the same. Without a doubt, it would have to be his last-minute winner against Cardiff in the 2021 season, which just came completely out of the blue. Cardiff had come back from 2 down to 2-2, so you're thinking, well, we're going to have to take a point here, and then all of a sudden, about 30 yards out, Dom just thumps one into the roof of the net, and cue scenes, as they say. So that will stand out very much, but but I think apart from that, he's been a popular player among the fan base, and that largely is because of the effort you see him putting in. Everyone wants to see a player who will just give their all. That's what you ask as a supporter, and I'd be prepared to bet Ipswich supporters are going to enjoy seeing that over the next year or few.
Indeed, and in his interviews, he seems very passionate. He seems like he just wants to get this team. This is going to be our 4th season in League One. Hopefully, this could be the year, and hopefully, Dom can be part of that team that can do it. Let's talk about Dom as a player and also as a person. As a player, he looks like he is going to be a passionate man, going to be in that midfield. What's the good? And I'm happy to also hear some of the bad bits of Dom's game. What can you say?
Well, one of my fellow supporters, who's also in the media, so I'm not going to name him, but he said to me a while ago, the thing with Dom Ball is he'll do something brilliant followed by something terrible. And I know what he means. I mean, I think you could best sum that up as saying consistency is perhaps his biggest problem. I think he will often not put together, performance over 90 minutes or certainly 2 or 3 games together where you'll say, yeah, he's been consistent. In terms of strengths, I think you would certainly say he's strong in the tackle, no question about that. He's good in the air. Sometimes his passing can be a little bit wayward. I think that's that's perhaps what you'd expect from someone who fills that role in the team. He's basically there to break up play rather than to start attacks going. But I think always it's the key is who you've got in playing alongside, and if you've got Ball in a midfield with somebody who's a little bit more creative, who's going to unlock opposition defences, then you've got a good mix there potentially.
Yeah, and he's dropping down to League One. He's 26 years of age. He's been playing in the Championship week in, week out pretty much the last 3 years. So for Town to get him to drop down, once again connecting with Kieran McKenna, I'm sure Andre Dazelle has been speaking to Dom as well, saying, this is where Andre, was born and that's where he progressed and, of course, joined QPR last year. As a whole, how would you say, is this a fantastic sign for Town for League One and it's a good move for Dom?
I think it is, yeah. I mean, as I say, I think he certainly, as he's shown, he's capable of playing at Championship level. But let's be honest, League One has got a lot stronger in the last few years, and you have. I'm sure I don't need to say that to any Ipswich Town fans. You have a lot of clubs who feel they should be at a higher level who are struggling to get out of League One, and many of them are still there. And Dom has got that experience. I mean, he's played there, of course, for Rotherham. Thankfully he's not played in League One for QPR, but he's got experience, as you say. But he's not that. He's of an age where he's still got plenty of good years ahead of him. And I think one thing I should add in response to your previous question, Ross, is what sort of person is he as well? And one thing that really stood out during his time at QPR was he's very keen to sort of throw himself into, I suppose you'd say, almost pastoral work, i.e. the community stuff that the club does. Dom was particularly involved with the collections for one of the local food banks, and that was one of his things, that every time it came around he'd be sort of stacking food parcels in his car and taking them down to the collection point and things like that. So I think he's a very sort of mindful of the role that footballers have got off the field as well. Yeah, and I think aside from that, you'll have seen, I know from some of the comments from QPR fans on social media that there's nobody who's pleased to see him go. To be quite honest, I think the realization is just that there were certain players coming to the end of their contracts who weren't going to be offered new deals, and he was one of them. But I'm quite sure if he, let's say Ipswich can get promoted in next year or two, or maybe have a cup game at Loftus Road or something like that, he will get a good reception from the supporters. I've no doubt about that at all.
Indeed, yeah, he seems like a really good egg, and I think he'll be great for the dressing room and a good character to have. And I'm sure, yeah, as you said, he'll get a good reception going back to QPR. Ben, it's been a pleasure. Thanks so much for joining me. Any other business, any other notes you want to mention about Dom?
I think the only thing I'd say is that going back to that possibility of playing against QPR, and every fan will tell you this: you always dread that former player coming and scoring against you. And although he doesn't score many goals, maybe he might save another 30-yarder for that when it comes around. But I just wish him well at Ipswich. I think we'll be keeping an eye on his progress, and I'm wishing him the best of luck, really.
Indeed. Well, Ben, thank you so much for joining me. Hope everybody at home has enjoyed watching, getting some insight on Dominic Ball, the new Town signing, and we'll be back for many more videos throughout the summer. So stay tuned. Bye-bye for now.